Hello, welcome to your guided reading lesson. Last one where you have got something that you need to be doing. Tomorrow will be listening to a story lesson, so that will be lovely. We've gone through in here now part 1, 2, 3 and 4, so we're going to go straight to number 5 now, to discovering ancient Egypt. Now I'm going to go through that with you now. There'll be a quiz the same as there has been on the previous days, and if you want to, you can go through and read through the conclusion and the rest of the book as well. Hopefully you can't hear the jingling bells of Coda and Willow, but we'll see. They seem to be quite settled at the moment, so hopefully they stay that way. Now when you log on, just as we did before, you'll see a little contents button at the bottom. It's orange with the stripes. If you press on there, we can whiz straight to discovering ancient Egypt. So, how do we know about ancient Egypt? Civilization in Egypt began almost 5,000 years ago. So how can we possibly know what happened? Well, using ancient writings and modern archaeology, we can find out quite a lot. Greek historians wrote a lot about ancient Egyptian civilization. Over the centuries, the pyramids were broken into, explored and marvelled at by many people. I thought I'd read that wrong. So over centuries, the pyramids were broken into, explored and marvelled at by many people from many different civilizations, including the military leaders Julius Caesar and Napoleon Bonaparte. Okay. How do we know how to read hieroglyphics? For centuries, people thought that the strange little pictures all over the temples and tombs were some kind of magic spell. But in 1799, a carved stone was discovered in the Egyptian town of Rosetta. The stone had the same text in 3 different types of writing: hieroglyphics, Demotic, and ancient Greek. Okay, the Rosetta Stone is now in the British Museum and is the museum's most popular object. I wonder whether that's why they've chosen Rosetta Stone as the name for a languages, like a teaching disc for languages. Interesting. Because many people could read ancient Greek, they could work out what the hieroglyphics said. A Frenchman, Jean-Francois Chamberlain, and an Englishman, Thomas Young, raced to be the first to decode the ancient language. Chamberlain won the race. Egyptology begins. From the early 1800s onward, many Europeans went to Egypt in search of the ancient Egyptian treasures. Some of these people carefully recorded everything they saw. Others simply took away as much as they could to sell to the museums and private collectors. By 1922, things were different, when the archaeologist Howard Carter discovered the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. Many of the treasures that were discovered inside stayed in Egypt. Tutankhamun's tomb was one of the few that was still full of treasure when archaeologists found it. The mask worn by his mummy is probably the most famous object ever discovered in Egypt. Tutankhamun's burial chamber, that's a label. I thought it was part of the piece of text and it confused me. So that is his burial chamber. You can see him laying in there. It looks a bit like a big sort of bath with his coffin inside, and there were over 5,000 objects that were found in there, and we found a little bit about that out, didn't we, last week in our history lesson. And we found out that actually, although Howard Carter is the person that is famous for finding that tomb, we found out, didn't we, that it was a water boy that had actually spotted the entrance in. So last page, and then you can go on to read the conclusion and the quiz. So what else can we find out about ancient Egypt? There is plenty still to discover about ancient Egypt. Within the last 10 years, new pyramids and new sarcophagi, or sarcophagi perhaps, have been discovered. However, today, technology helps us learn about the past without having to lift a spade. The air shafts in the Great Pyramid, which were too narrow for anyone to enter, were explored by remote-controlled vehicles equipped with video. Archaeologists can use different types of technology to find out even more about ancient Egypt. Okay, so they've put, in that picture, they've put a radar underneath the ground so that they can see. Okay. Now, as I say, you can go through the conclusion, and once you get to the end, there is a lovely quiz for you. And it's a bigger quiz because it goes through the whole book. Okay, so there are 12 questions for that one. Okay, I'm sure you're going to do fantastically well. And Mrs. Pamphlet and I will look forward to having all of your emails today. So have a lovely day. Hopefully there's still a little bit of snow and you can also go and play. Again, we will look forward to your photos. Have a lovely rest of the day. See you later.